This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV, Day 3 at Cloud Expo East in New York, and we're joined now by Dalibor Siroky with Plutora. He was on a panel yesterday, and he is from Australia, and there were like 100 Australians in the room. I couldn't hear myself think, but it was a great panel. Welcome to Syscon TV. Welcome to Cloud Expo, and let's talk a little bit about Plutora, what it does, and I'm hoping along the way the word DevOps comes into the conversation.
Okay. Thanks very much. So Plutora is based in Mountain View, California. We have been going for about 3.5 years. Plutora provides release and test environment capability to the enterprise. Most of our customers are in the Fortune 1000. We've got the sort of the top 2-3 customers in each of the industry sectors, and ultimately what it comes down to is organizations are trying to deliver faster and with greater transparency, greater visibility and greater quality. So we try not to use DevOps too much. I think it's overplayed. Everything at this conference has definitely been DevOps, but it's around bringing sort of time to value faster for customers and helping them in that space. We were recognized by Gartner last year as the cool vendor in IT DevOps, but we're certainly innovative in the release and the test environment management space.
How long has the company been around?
3.5 years. Started off in Australia, and now we're in Mountain View, California. That's where our global headquarters are.
And the people that are working at the company, what sort of backgrounds are there? I imagine there's kind of a deep experience behind those 3.5 years.
Yeah, definitely. So we're all people that have done this before. So, you see a lot of startups where there's a retail presence, but we're definitely the boring guys, right? The guys that wear the suits. We've got some guys wearing t-shirts and all that sort of stuff, but we're definitely guys that have had really deep experience in the enterprise. We know that you've got a project management office. You know that there's an investment in ITIL. We sort of work out that these investments are not going to be changed in the short term. So we need to work out how to collaborate and work in that space to help organizations go faster, given the existing investments that they've made.
You said the company was started in Australia, came to the U.S. Are your customers right now primarily in North America?
Yeah, so we're doing about 60% of the revenue out of North America. UK is very big for us in the telco space and the financial services sector. We've even got a customer in Mongolia. So we've got customers all around the world.
And I hear that Ulaanbaatar is lovely this time of year. we actually, I run a little institute, and we do a lot of research on national ICT buying patterns and dynamics. And Mongolia, we try to adjust it for a relative basis. Absolute basis, we know who's wealthy and who's not. Yeah. But on a relative basis, actually, Mongolia is they're doing very well. Yeah. But that said, when I mention DevOps, you say you don't overplay that. And is that because there's so much else going on along with it? You're trying not just to get fixated on that?
Yeah. So we look at it as value to the business and the enterprise. And for us, that's very much how do I get time to value faster? And it's not necessarily just dev or ops. It's how do you look at that value stream and look at all the different parts along the way and which of those needs to be automated. And I think a lot of the conversation is around DevOps is just automating the development process or automating particular transitions, but we look at the entire stream and say, we're in an enterprise, some of those streams are going to be very heavyweight. There might be a lot of governance, you're modifying a core banking platform, you can't do anything about that. You can't automate the hell out of everything. So what do you do in that space? Then you drill down into the sort of the Autobahn where you've got all the web-based applications and the mobile applications. What do you do in that space? And the answer is quite different. So we take a portfolio approach to that and look at the enterprise rigid level, there's a certain degree of optimization that you need to do, and then as you scale down into the sort of very fast but sort of paced applications, it's a different answer. So if you take that portfolio view, you need to provide opportunities at each of those segments. And that's why we don't really sort of, I've tried not to say DevOps too much at this conference, but that's what we do, right? It's a spectrum of different capabilities within the organization.
Right, and I think probably also trying to avoid in some cases, the geek aspect of it, because that's not really what it's all about. Yeah. Now, are there differences among the countries? You mentioned financial services, well, US, yeah. UK, that's quite two different animals, right?
But the problems in the enterprise are the same. A lot of regulation, a lot of governance, a lot of auditability, and the question is, not just how do you automate the development process, but how do you look at the orchestration end-to-end, and how do you look at the approval process, the governance, and how do you optimize that rather than just saying, I'm optimizing development. We need to look a little bit higher, and that's where Plutora comes in. We look at a step higher and look at what is that end-to-end chain? How do we look at the different parts of that, automating governance approvals, providing directors the view of this is what's happening, not just in development, but also in the operations team. How do you get that end-to-end view? And Plutora helps organizations achieve that.
So the question is, how do you? No, what I'm thinking, speaking of end-to-end, or maybe up to down organizationally. So you got to be talking to the CIOs. You got to be talking to. I mean, and who gets involved with a project that you're involved in, and then who ends up working on it? As you say, you just can't automate everything.
Exactly.
So how? What's the word I'm looking for? Pervasive? How ubiquitous are you within an organization?
Well, typically it starts off small. All right? Typically we get sponsorship at the director level, the VP level, and at that level, what you're looking to optimize is deliver something that's going to deliver value straight away. So the ROI of Plutora, you basically payback periods 2 to 3 months, and the idea is show value in that stream, show value in a team or a department, and then it naturally progresses from there, proliferates because you're seeing the value at an individual team level. Trying to go top down and say, here's some sort of DevOps strategy that's going to play across the entire organization, too much resistance. Start off small, deliver benefit in that small team.
So it's like the frog that sits in the water and it slowly heats, and you slowly heat them up, and pretty soon they're cooked. And
that's it.
They didn't even know it.
That's it. Yeah.
But you hope that they're happy instead of dead. So beyond that, so there's talking about it, there's doing it, and then once you're installed, there's actually operations. Is that sort of how you look at it? And what are the challenges once the happiness is over and we're installed and we're working now? Now what happens?
Yeah, so it's surfacing the magic. How do you surface the magic after you've done an implementation? And I think it's bringing the data and the information to the executive team. I think one core benefit is that we've been able to maintain a high degree of sort of collaboration and sponsorship within those organisations because we are surfacing that magic to the executives. Here's the director's report, here's what it looks like, here's your single view of testing across all the portfolios. So it's easy to do in a smaller organisation where you've got one team or one line of business, but when you scale it up and there's multiple lines of business and multiple touch points, being able to consolidate that in a really meaningful way is a key benefit to those directors, and I think that's where we surface the magic as well.
What was sort of the original meta thought or the original insight that you had in Australia that, this is missing, this is something we can do, and has that, to what degree, if any, has that evolved, in the last 3.5 years?
Yeah, we've stayed pretty close to the mission right from the start. We set out, and Sean Hamawi, my co-founder, we had worked in a number of enterprises, we had worked in banks, and I think at the time we had done 2 demergers where we were actually looking at 2 enterprises, one enterprise, and how do you strip that apart and make it into 2. And the impact around the systems is enormous. How do we generate that? How do we replicate that? How do we test that? What are all the different environments for that? And it was all being done on spreadsheets. So we, finished that project, quit our jobs, put our own cash in, started building Plutora, and we've stayed true to that vision. And it's resonated really well with our enterprise customers.
Let me ask it might just be a useless question, but I'm going to give it a shot. As far as cloud computing and complexity, to what degree are you going to be looking for new customers who are facing similar problems? And to what degree do the cloud distributions and infrastructures and ecosystems of existing customers get more complex? I mean, it seems like cloud itself is a moving, evolving thing.
Yeah. Look, it's evolving. I mean, there's containerization, there's all these different things that are helping it go faster, but ultimately the common thread is that you've got people that want to be involved along the way. And there'll always be people, they'll always want to interact with each other, they'll always have different incentive structures. So being able to sort of look at that governance layer or the orchestration layer and bring all that together in a meaningful way, I think is where we can bring customers value in bringing those sides together.
Therefore, the topic yesterday, people, processes, and technology. And in fact, technology is the third one, and without the other 2 pillars...
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because in the topic yesterday it was people, process, technology, and when you say, well, let's just sack all the people because we're a startup, we'll hire the right people, but if you're in an enterprise, you're inheriting a division, you can't do anything about the people, all right? They're there. You've got to make them work. So you focus more on the process and the tooling to make them work in an efficient way. It's kind of the, whether it's the Henry Ford model or whatever it is, it's the output that you're producing is a function of the process. So that's our view on the world.
And that fundamental core is not going to change.
I don't think so.
So in summary, though, why should people contact Plutora?
We can help you deliver software faster and with higher quality. www.plutora.com.
That was my last question. Is where can we find you online? And you answered it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We've been sitting here for a few minutes with Dalibor Siroky with Plutora. He's and his team are experts at DevOps, but they're experts on a lot more than that. So don't be put off by that. But on the other hand, if you love DevOps, you can contact them too. So thank you very, very much for joining us. Thank you for watching. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.